Hey, what is going on, guys? So Bandai finally unveiled the new Perfect Grade Unleashed kit. In this video, I want to go through everything that we know about it so far, let you guys know all the details in case you missed any of it. I'm sure probably a lot of you have seen the photos of the kit already, but there's a ton of information that Bandai's put out about the kit already on their official website for the kit, so you can go and check it out for yourself. But I'm going to go through all the information we know about it so far, then I'm going to give you some of my own personal thoughts about it then towards the end of the video. So let's just go ahead and get right into it. So the new Perfect Grade Unleashed RX-78-2 is coming out actually at the end of this year in December. 25,000 yen is the list price for that, so it's going to be around $250 for that. Pretty expensive, but considering we just had the MGEX come out for about the same price, it seems pretty crazy to think that we had this awesome MG that came out. It was super expensive though, and this PG, which looks in my opinion like significantly more impressive, come out like right around the same price. I think you're getting a lot of bang for your buck with this particular kit, whereas with the Unicorn kit, a lot of people had the feeling that it was overpriced, and I think that's a kind of fair assessment. It was certainly probably a little bit more expensive than we all would have liked. Of course, this one though, of course, very expensive, but I think it looks worth it. It looks really awesome. So we're gonna go through. Bandai's put out videos of this. They've put out some like little animations of the actual parts going on and everything. We got tons of photos and everything as well too. So lots of stuff to go through. But we'll just go through here, starting at the top, with like the first point of information being that this is basically the culmination of the Gunpla Evolution project that's been going on for the past couple years. So basically like 5 main points of the Gunpla Evolution project so far, all coming together here is the action, which they did with the HG Zeta Revive kit, the transformation of the RG Unicorn kit, the light emitting feature of the Perfect Grade Exia, the fine build of the HG Leo, and the extreme detail of the RG Crossbone. So basically bringing all 5 of those points of the Evolution project together here all into this new Perfect Grade. So it's going to have all that great stuff about all those great kits all in one. That's really cool. And the next kind of big point about it is that it's got 5 phases of construction. Now this is, you would think like not necessarily that impressive or not necessarily that important, because you know a lot of master grades and especially perfect grades, you know, of course you have to build the inner frame, and of course you put all the outer armor on top of it, and that's essentially what it is. But they've just broken it down into 5 phases here because there's really something special about each phase along the way that they really want to impress upon us with all this new features and everything that's going on with this. So the 5 phases are assembly, articulation, structure, outer armor, and effects. So at each phase along the way, there's something noteworthy. So we'll go through these here. It's also, and so like I guess it's combining these also, entitling this the Gunpla Evolution Link System. It's kind of a dumb name. I don't really understand what's really the point of that, why it's a link system. Just say that it's like a Gunpla Evolution 5-phase construction, something like that. Link system implies that something is linked. I don't really know. Obviously the 5 stages are linked into the final assembly of the kit, of course, because you have to build all 5 stages. The link system just makes me think of like it's like something is linked to something else. If there was like other PGs that like the parts were compatible or something like that, using the same sort of attachment system, something like that. Anyway, the name is kind of silly, but all right. So phase 1 here is using an RG style insert molded frame parts. So that's like where you have the movable frame parts already pre-molded onto the runner together. And it says it's the largest insert frame parts that have ever been used. Obviously with a PG, we've never seen this. We've seen this done with a PG before. We've seen master grade kits using the pre-molded frame parts before, going all the way back to the Gundam 1.5, I want to say, or 2.0. I know at least maybe one of those. Anyway, so it's been a while. But it's the first time this is going to be used on a perfect grade, and it's just basically the arms, the legs, and then some parts for the skirt as well are on these pre-molded insert molded parts here. The leg piece itself is going to be 18 centimeters long, which for reference, 18 centimeters is the standard height of a 100 scale master grade. So imagine a master grade size height leg piece that's a pre-molded part. As you can see on the runner though, it's actually molded like bent, so it's not like on this massive long runner. It'll be something you have to cut out and then straighten out anyway. They're also emphasizing the point here for fastest skeletal formations. So basically, I guess the point of this, the reason why they're doing this, I think the reason why they're doing this really is just to show that they can make a massive insert molded part, but they're also playing this as it allows you to put the kit together faster by having these parts as just a pre-molded part. But I don't know how much time it's really gonna save you. I would guess a little bit, but basically I guess if you had to build these parts yourself, if it didn't come pre-molded, I mean, it's not that large amount of parts here that would be used for just like the basic inner frame skeleton. But that's the point of phase 1. And again, I'll give you guys some more of my own personal thoughts about some of this stuff a little bit later on in the video too, because I have some other thoughts. And of course, this is kind of the main point of concern that I've seen with people so far is concerning phase 1 here, but we'll come back to that. Phase 2 is using the highest number of articulation points in a Gunpla. So this is where you're adding on, kind of similar with an RG kit, as you're building more frame parts onto the pre-built inner frame parts. So you're just adding more frame on there, and you've now got the highest number of articulation points in a Gunpla. And I also will note that it looks like the core block there used is not a folded up core fighter. It does include a core fighter, and we'll see that a little bit later. I'll show that to you guys. But it doesn't look like that's a folded up core fighter there in the core of that. So it looks like it's a separate core block you'll have there just for the interior of the Gundam. So in phase 2, basically just focusing all the parts that will add to the articulation of it, all the articulation gimmicks of some sliding parts here and there, like in the thigh. There's a ton of articulation, of course, in the torso section for doing all sorts of movement, in the hip section as well too, the way like the hip joints sort of like accordions, so you can get some really nice movement there. It'll all be good. And the other thing that we don't really know, or at least I can't really tell so much so far, is how much of like locking mechanisms are included with this. With the articulation, sometimes you'll have parts, especially like in the hip section, where some piece will like lock into place so it'll be able to hold the pose better. I'm sure there'll be a number of points like that somewhere along the lines, maybe in the shoulders or something like that as well too. But we don't really know too much about that, or I can't really tell so much so far. Phase 3 here is the multi-layer structure. So this is where you're going to be adding on more frame parts onto this. Basically, there's 59 parts of truss frame that are going to be used. That'll be metallic parts, like metallic just molded parts, and then also plated parts. You'll have silver, gold, and chrome plated parts included with this for the truss frame parts you're going to be adding onto this. It's basically just going to build it up. So it's kind of similar to like the Master Grade Sazabi Verka. Basically how you had the inner frame and then you had like a second layer inner frame where it's just like adding more detail to it with the secondary color and stuff. It just looks really cool. But that looks amazing. And then phase 4 is kind of where it really starts to get interesting. This is, I think, where it really separates itself from any other kit before from Bandai, because this is where they're using metal parts and photo etch parts, which we almost never see from Bandai and Gundam kits. So aluminum parts are used for the head Vulcans, and then also the backpack thruster bells. Those are going to be actual metal aluminum parts. They're used for that, so those would be cool. Also, there are 15 photo etch parts used around on the kit as well too. So most notably, like in the front chest vents, on the front of like the torso section as well too, like between the red sections in the middle of the torso. There's some more there. So these are going to be gateless sticker type photo etch parts. So if you've ever used photo etch parts before, sometimes you'll have them like this where they're just on like a big sticker sheet and there's no gates on them, so you just peel them up and they're really easy to use. Other times they'll be on like actual gates. You actually have to cut them and kind of like file the gates on them sometimes. Those are a little bit more, they take a little bit more work. So these just being the gateless type stickers, they're very easy. You just peel them off and just stick them on, and you probably shouldn't even need to use glue. You might want to just in case, but being sticker type, hopefully you won't really need to use glue even for these. So they'll be very, very easy to use the photo etch parts here with this. And as to my knowledge, this is the first time Bandai's using photo etch parts in any Gundam kit. I think probably maybe they've used them in some other kits before. I don't know. Bandai makes a ton of different types of kits. But as far as I know, it's the first time ever using them in Gundam kits, so that's pretty awesome. There is also going to be metallic 3D stickers used for all the little lights and stuff you see around there. Red and green lights. This would be like green lights on the right side, red lights on the left side, right? And so all those little kind of squares of green and red lights are going to be these metallic 3D stickers. And we've kind of seen these before in some kits. Sometimes you'll have a kit where it comes with this kind of sticker. I think like the old Master Grade Gym Sniper kit, I believe, had one of these like for like the camera on it. Basically, it's just a sticker that has a more 3D effect to it. It's kind of like a half dome kind of shape, and that's got just a mirror finish on the underside of the colored sticker. So it will catch the light and it will look really bright. So there's not an actual LED lighting it up, but it looks like it's lit up just because of how bright the sticker actually is underneath this kind of clear plastic 3D sticker effect going over the top of that. Anyway, that makes sense? Yes. Okay, cool. So those will be really cool as well too. And then also, there is also going to be a magnet used in this kit, also a first time for any Bandai Gundam kit as far as I know. And so this magnet is going to be used for the shield mount, and I'm not sure if there's going to be one in both arms, but I think maybe. It looks like basically on the back of the arm there's a little hatch that you just slide open, and the magnet is in there, and then there's another magnet on the actual shield mount piece, and that will just plug onto there, so you'll have much more stability with the shield mounted onto the arm. I'm not really sure how much of a difference this would make rather than just like a peg. I mean, a 1/60 scale PG kit is big, but we've seen other perfect grade kits before that hold their shields kind of just fine. The RX, or I'm not sure, actually I've not built the original RX-78-2, so I can't speak for that, but I've built the perfect grade Strike, and it holds its shield just fine with it just being plugged into the back of the arm, which is a kind of standard peg attachment. So it's cool. They're using a magnet. I'm not sure, if it's really necessary, but hey, why not? If they want to do something cool and impress us, why not use something new? So there you go. And then finally, Phase 5 is also really interesting because now we're getting into the effects of that. There is a full color 2-lamp type LED unit installed that allows 4 types of light up effects. Now, it says full color, so I don't know if you'll really have full range of options for this, or if you can only choose between the 4 types of light up effects. So there's basically the 4 types are the first activation, normal activation, high power, and maintenance type. And it looks like probably you only have those 4 choices, but fingers crossed you'll be able to choose whatever colors you want. And like those are just like the 4 like canon recommended type of like light up effects, I guess. We'll have to see with that for sure, but basically we do know that it's just a 2-lamp type system, so basically 1 to light up the head and 1 to light up the chest. So it should be pretty simple. It won't be like a full LED system like we've seen recently with the MGEX Unicorn or like with the Perfect Grade Exia, nothing that extensive, just for a couple of LEDs in there. But we are also going to have a light up beam saber. Now this one, it looks like based on the images we have that you'll have 3 beam saber handles included with this, 2 normal ones that don't have the LED system in there, that they're just meant to plug it up in the backpack. But then when you do want to have one that has the LED, you have a 3rd handle, which is the actual LED handle. So it's got a tiny little LED and battery in there that's going to go in there. And then the really cool thing with this, aside from just lighting up the beam saber effect through the handle here, is that if you do plug this into the backpack, the light from the beam saber will light up the backpack thruster bells as well too. So while the LED system for the Gundam only lights up the chest vents and the head, you can also light up the backpack using the beam saber. So that's really cool. Actually, that's a quite ingenious idea there, I believe. And then, of course, there's the opening hatch gimmicks. Now, this is something that I predicted, that I was, fingers crossed, expecting that they would do for this kit. The original PG did have some opening hatch gimmicks, and I was kind of hoping that they were going to go one step further and make this with even more open hatch gimmicks, and that looks to be the case. There's 53 sections of hatch opening gimmicks on this kit, so as you can see, there's hatches open all over the place. It looks awesome, and that's really great when you have all that internal detail in there. You don't want to cover it up, and of course the one thing you could do is just omit some armor pieces to be able to show that inner frame, but with the option to have so many hatches open stuff, you can really show off all that detail inside as well too, while just keeping all the armor actually on the body. So that looks amazing. So those are the 5 phases of the construction. And a couple of cool things to note about that is that the runners, it says, are going to be organized by a phase. So you'll have like all your runners for phase 1, you'll build and go through that, and then all your runners for phase 2. So if you've got like how I usually like to organize the runners all in order, alphabetical order, so that'd be very convenient for someone like me building in that way. I'm sure a lot of you guys also do the same thing when you're building your kits, put them all in order like that. So that'll be really convenient, I think, just for building. And also it says they use a new style of block assembly. Now it says you can assemble each part block and then attach it to the inner frame. I'm not exactly sure what this means, and I don't think it's really anything that noteworthy as far as I can tell, but my only guess would be like, so maybe like for one part of like the arm frame or something like that, it has you build like a whole bunch of parts like all together and then just like attach it all as one big section, rather than like building up piece by piece by piece by piece like that on the arm frame. That's kind of how I would guess that this goes, that's what this means. It says the point of this is to make it more like realistic MS assembly, like as if you were like actually an engineer building an actual mobile suit, something like that, I guess is kind of what they want to achieve with this. But again, that doesn't really seem like anything that really special. I don't know. We'll see. But that's kind of like all the main information that they've put out so far. Now I'll go through a couple of other things that I've noticed about it, some of my own opinions, and you know, just some other thoughts about this, other things that I've noticed. So first off, the insert molded frame, that people, I've seen a lot of people concerned about this so far. People are worried that this is going to be weak, possibly broken, not hold the articulation well, if it you know, gets weaker over time, things like that. People are concerned about this. I share your guys' concern, but I'm pretty optimistic about it. I think Bandai is probably designing this in a way that it's probably not going to have too much problems. Of course, with any insert molded pieces, you need to be a little bit careful moving them at first, especially. So when you first cut off the runner and you're moving it for like the first couple of times, bend it a couple times first just to make sure everything's moving well before you actually build it into the kit. And that will just help to make sure nothing's broken once you get it actually all pulled together and start moving it, and nothing's really kind of still kind of frozen. So that helps. And I think like the only time we've really seen much problems with that is when they've reused runners for new kits. Like for example, the best example we can all think of is the real grade Sazabi using the inner frame of the Gundam Mark II. The frame was not engineered for the Shinanju. That frame was not engineered for the Shinanju, and it was very obvious when you built the kit that it was not ideal. And with this, it's a totally new frame that they're building entirely for this kit, so I'm sure, I trust Bandai that it's engineered in a good way, that it won't be a problem. But of course, we'll have to see. We don't know for sure. I understand people's concerns about that, but I'm optimistic. I'm not really too worried about that. I do kind of don't like that they're promoting the idea that it makes it a faster build, because for me, and I've talked about this before, the speed of building a kit is not necessarily something that I care about. Honestly, I would prefer a kit that takes more time to build, especially a really big one like this. If you're going to be spending this much money, basically you're paying for the product, but in my personal opinion, you're also paying for the experience of building the kit. And if the experience is over really fast, then I don't really feel like I got much for my money. I want to build that's gonna take more time. I can feel it's much more worthwhile for the cost. So the speed of it being able to build it is something that is not a concern for me at all. I really don't care about that, and I wish that Bandai wouldn't even bother even making that a point of the build. But I don't know really who that's for, but for people who want to build the kit super fast, I guess. I don't, and again, I'm not sure how much time it's really going to save you anyway, rather than just building up that interior frame just by yourself rather than having it pre-molded. But that's that. Also, about the core fighter, like I mentioned before, it looks like you can see what the core fighter looks like, and it also comes with two pilot figures there. Not only a standing pilot figure of Amuro Ray, but you also have one of Sayla Mass, which looks very cool as well too. Very nice pose there for Sayla. And so this looks like it's going to be a separate thing, not the one that's actually in the Gundam, which I prefer. I think that's better than you can have your Gundam and your core fighter separate. I think that'll be better anyway. So that looks nice, and it looks just kind of like its own separate thing, I guess. But I could be wrong about that too. I could be wrong that it's not the one that's folded up inside, but it looks like it's not that, based on what we can see so far. Also, it comes with fixed posed hands. Now, this is going to be something contentious for people. I know some people like the fully articulated hands, especially on a big, new, perfect grade like this, where there's kind of so much going on with this. It's like the pinnacle of Bandai technology. I'm sure a lot of people are going to want and expect fully articulated, really super nice hands as well too. Personally, as I've said on many occasions before, I much prefer fixed pose hands. I don't like fully articulated hands. Just give me a nice set of fixed pose hands and I'll be happy, and that's what this comes with. You have 4 sets. Closed fist, open hands, beam saber holding hands, and trigger finger rifle holding hands for both the left and the right. So in total you'll have 8 hand parts. And so I think that's very ideal for me. They look great. They've got the frame inside the hands as well too. So you've got chrome plated part on the inside of the hands, and then you put the gray parts on the outside of that. So you have all these little bits of chrome poking out in between the little joints on the fingers and everything. They look amazing, and so I'm really happy with that. They look like they are going to have a seam on the thumb though, but I can't tell. It looks like that's going to be molded as like an actual panel line there as well, so maybe you don't need to worry too much about that. Like the mega size RX-78-2 also had a seam on the thumb that you had to get rid of, but this one looks like they're making it as an actual panel line, so maybe we won't need to worry too much about the seam line for this. Probably in all reality there won't be any seam lines to worry about on this kit, you know, fingers crossed. I doubt there'll be even any like on the beam rifle or anything at all, so it should be good. on that. Shouldn't be anything to worry about as far as seam lines go. And then just on a note about the battery requirements, it says that you're going to need 2 button type batteries, LR41 for like the LED system in the body, and then for the beam saber handle you'll need a pin type lithium battery, BR435. So just for your reference, it looks like, I can't tell, it looks like the button type batteries are definitely not included, but the pin type battery, I think they are including one of those with this, it looks like, as far as I can tell, but I'm not sure because I know sending batteries in the mail is usually a no-no. So if they were going to be able to sell these overseas for international shipment, usually you're not allowed to send batteries, I think. So I don't know, maybe this pin type lithium battery is okay, maybe they are able to send that, but just for reference, until we know more, you will at least need to get some two button type batteries for that. Those are not going to be included. And then I just want to also talk about the decals, because they didn't mention anything about the decals. We have a ton of information here about this, about everything, but except for the decals. So that makes me a little bit concerned. I would hope that for a big, expensive perfect grade like this, we would have some nice waterslide decals to go with that, but I'm thinking it's probably not going to be waterslide decals by the fact that they didn't mention it. Now, I could be wrong about this. Again, we don't know anything about this for sure, but by the fact that they didn't mention anything about that makes me think that it's probably just going to be your normal sticker decals, which is pretty unfortunate. I would much prefer waterslide decals myself, but probably in a perfect world, it would be a set of both, like what they do with the Macross kits, giving you a set of sticker decals and waterslide decals. So if you preferred one or the other, you can have both there. That would be the best, and I don't know what's going to be actually coming with the kit though, unfortunately, so we'll have to see. Also, I don't really prefer the font of the decals too, for like the big font that you can see like on the shoulder text and stuff like that. I don't really like that, just my personal thing. I don't really like that text that they used for that. It's not really very to my taste. I think it does kind of fit the style, I guess, of the detail of the kit, but I would wish that there was some different options for that. And then also, I just want to also note something that I noticed about the actual 3D model that they're showing off, like the texture, like the paint texture, the color on the 3D model looks very much like a Max Watanabe painting style. I just thought that was interesting. It's got that kind of like shadowy look to it. You can notice this especially on the shield and with some of the images. It has this kind of, if you're familiar with Max Watanabe's painting style, it has that kind of look to it. So I just thought that was something interesting to point out. The other thing that people are noticing about this, of course, is that it really looks like a Mechanicore kit. People are making the obvious comparison to Mechanicore, obviously using the LEDs, the photo etch parts, very detailed inner frame, and like all sorts of parts going on to just a very detailed and massive kit. It's very reminiscent of a Mechanicore kit, of course, so I've seen some people making the assumption that Bandai kind of saw what Mechanicore was doing and saying like, oh yeah, we need to do that. Honestly though, and I've said this on many occasions, I really don't think that anyone at Bandai really pays much attention to what third-party, aka bootleg companies in China make. I'm sure that some people there at Bandai are probably aware of those kits, but I really don't think that conversation ever happened along the way with the designers coming together and saying like, oh, you know what these guys at Mechanicore are doing over there with these kits, we should really do something like that using photo edge parts and all that stuff. I think they just, thought that they wanted to make a really awesome mobile suit, and then like photo etch parts are not something that only Mechanicore does. They exist out there in the modeling world, and a lot of models use them. So I think they just wanted to use stuff with the photo etch parts. The LED system's obviously also not new. They've used LEDs for lots of kits before in the past, so that's not necessarily anything new either. So the fact that it's similar to what Mechanicore makes, I think there's not really any connection there at all. But of course, like just from our perspective, just looking at it as just a model, of course, yeah, you can see some similarities there, of course. But alright guys, so just to wrap up this video, just some of my personal thoughts on the kit so far. I think that it looks great. I really like the design of this for the most part. There's some aspects of the design that I don't really care for. I kind of wish the thighs were a little bit thicker, in my personal opinion. The rounded part on the top of the shoulder is very unique. I'm not sure if I really like it or not, but it's a cool new kind of slightly different aspect to the RX-78-2 design. Overall, I think for me, in my opinion, like the RX-78-2, the great thing about the RX-78-2 is it's a very charming design, and to have a super detailed version of that, it kind of loses the charm a little bit for me. It doesn't quite have that same just charming simplicity of the RX-78-2 when you've got it so super detailed. But considering this is the 40th anniversary and they wanted to do a 2.0 perfect grade kit, of course they got to do the Granddaddy Gundam, so it's not like they were going to do a 2.0 version of the GP01 or the Mark II or something like that. They may somewhere along the line down the future, although I would think it's kind of unlikely they'll do any more 2.0 perfect grade kits anytime soon. It's probably just a very special thing just for the 40th anniversary of Gundam here. But I do think that if they were to do a 2.0 PG in this super highly detailed style, I think it would have been more fitting for like the GP01 or the Zeta or something like that. But nevertheless, it's the RX-78-2, and you know, some people do get a little bit tired of all the RX-78-2s out, but this one, I think we can all agree, it looks fantastic, all the detail on there. It's gonna be quite the experience to build. I think the experience of just building this kit is going to be so much more interesting than, you know, any kits we've seen out for a while. Comparable to the Master Grade Barbatos, but on a whole like other level. But like when I built the Master Grade Barbatos, I was really impressed with the process of building it. It was a really interesting kit to build because they're a quite complex kit to build compared to some other Master Grades that have been out recently. And I think this will be a similar experience, but on like a much higher scale, even just with it being a perfect grade, obviously larger, and just so much more going on with that. So I think it's going to be a really, really fun kit to build, a really interesting kit to build. Obviously a very expensive kit, but I think you can really feel like you're getting your bang for your buck, as I said in the beginning of the video. Not like with the MGEX where even if you really love the kit and the kit looks great, which it does, I'm in the process of painting mine right now, so you guys will see more about that soon. But this one, I think, compared to that, this one you can really, really feel like your money is well spent on a truly like immersive and impressive model kit here. Everything looks great on it too, like the hand parts look really great. Like I said, I'm really happy about them being fixed post. I think they look really super nice. All the details and everything on it, of course, are very impressive. And I am really happy with the open hatch gimmicks as well too. I'm really super excited to try those out, and it's going to be a really, really great way to show off all that interior detail. I think those are going to look really super nice. So like painting this kit is going to take a while. Just painting up all those interior details as well too. When it comes to photo etch parts, some people have asked me before when I've used them a little bit here and there, do you paint the photo etch parts or not? And so it's kind of up to you. I think in this case, I'll probably end up not painting them. And whenever I've used them before, I have ended up painting over them, but some people like to put them on later, so like after the kit is painted, so that you're just seeing like the photo etch part just be there and just it's metallic kind of silvery color. And I think that's probably what is the ideal look for this one as well too. Of course you could paint it if you want to, and some people I'm sure will, but in this one, at least for me, probably I won't paint those, but we'll see. One other thing that I did notice about this too is that they haven't mentioned anything about any sort of stand for it, so I would assume it's not coming with any sort of stand, just by the fact that there's nothing mentioned here. I would assume that if it were, that would probably be mentioned here on the website for it and shown off as being some sort of like special base for it, like with the Master Grade EX or with the Perfect Grade XE or something, for example, had their own special bases, and those were also part of the LED system. Like you needed the base for the LEDs for those particular Gundams, and the Master Grade or the Perfect Grade Unicorn as well too. Where this one doesn't need a base for anything related to the LEDs. It just would have been nice if this comes with some sort of base to be able to do these action poses, because I don't know how you're going to be able to do any of these like action aerial poses like this if you have no base for it. And it's not like you can just use a standard action base for this. With it being so large, a standard action base just wouldn't work, I think, for this to be able to support the weight. So I'm wondering what they're going to do, or what they're going to put out as far as any sort of base that you'll be able to use for this. I don't know, because they're showing all these different cool action poses that you can do, but how are you meant to do that without a base to hold it up? I don't know. But alright guys, that is everything you need to know about the new Perfect Grade RX-78-2 Unleashed kit that's going to be coming out in December. I'm looking forward to it, and I gave you guys my thoughts on it so far. I think it looks awesome. If you guys want to pre-order it, I know at USA Gundam Store so far the pre-orders have already sold out. They got a pretty limited amount that they are able to get in the first run, so we got to wait and see when they're going to be able to get more in the second batch. Hopefully it won't be too much longer between the first batch and the second batch, for those of you guys who do want to pre-order it and haven't been able to get your pre-orders in yet. But as soon as we know, we as in at USA Gundam Store, as soon as we know when the second batch is going to be coming, then we'll put that up for pre-order or back order again for you guys. So just make sure you're checking on the website. You can also check there on the website. There should be a little box to say to notify you when it's available to order again. So far with the first set of them coming, the first batch coming in, I guess it'll be around the end of December or somewhere around there. With those already being sold out, so you're not able to order it, I believe, at the moment, but just make sure you check that on the website. And of course, you can use my coupon code there, ZakuAurelius10, to save 10% off that as well too. Again, for a $250 kit like this, that's going to save you a good amount on that. So just make sure that you use that coupon code as well too. So also just let me know your guys' thoughts on the kit there down below in the comment section. What do you think about it? What are you looking forward to? What do you like or dislike about the kit so far, what we know about it? Obviously no one has it in hand yet, so we can't speak on anything, you know, with too much certainty, but based on what we know of the kit so far, what are your guys' thoughts? Let me know down in the comment section below. Let's talk about it. And just thank you all so much for watching. Thank you so much for your support too, liking the video, commenting, subscribing, all that's greatly appreciated. So till next time, guys, y'all have a great weekend. I'll see you later. Bye-bye.
Get the ultimate building experience.